Welcome to the Lance Wallnau Show, and I have with me the one and only Floyd Brown, the CEO of Western Journal, one of the top, let's say, the antidote to fake news is the real deal. And so you provide us with that with Western Journal.
We do our best to give you the real news that you need every day to be an effective citizen.
And you know, the app is what I like the most. I like it even more than the desktop because I travel all the time and I'm so used to that app because it puts a box in. I have 20 different subjects I can go to immediately, and they're all brilliant. Now, I was at lunch today with Floyd because we're doing the great Fire and Glory tour. If you guys are watching it all, man, I hope you're seeing this on the various platforms because it's like, I don't know, it must be like 5,000 people in these evening sessions. Daytime sessions are rocking. We're really seeing like the Jesus movement happening. It's the power of God. You feel it, Floyd. We were talking about it. We sense it after it's over. I mean, after the session's over.
Lance, I feel like somebody's been pouring oil over my head now for 2 days. My cup is so full and overflowing. The Lord has been manifesting himself to us in signs and wonders. I mean, last night at the healing service, I had something happen to me that's never happened to me before in my life. A guy comes up who can not even walk. I mean, he's completely crippled. And I'm praying for him. And then all of a sudden, this man is addressed by Mario from the platform. And before I know it, the guy's running across the...
But he had titanium. His problem was he couldn't move. He had titanium in his legs and stuff.
But literally, Lance, no one will ever be able to tell me this wasn't real because I saw him before with my own eyes and I saw him after with my own eyes. And I'm going to choose to believe my eyes, not these news media people that try and say healing isn't for today and this is fake. I have seen the manifestation of Jesus Christ and the Holy Spirit right here at these meetings. It's been incredibly powerful.
One of the things that you always do is surprise me with how you show up, like almost like it's like, what was that, a Forrest Gump? Because I look over there and he goes, the tall man is laying. I said, the tall man, that's you, laying hands on him. Put your hands on him. And I thought, oh my gosh. But then you said something yesterday during your morning session, which I think the audience would love if you didn't catch it. And that's when you were in your innocence, the prime of your youth, working with the Reagan administration as a young ambassador for American message, American values. And the CIA debriefed you on your international agenda, your brief, what you were to do. And tell the folks what the CIA told you.
So I had what I call a lottery ticket job. It's like one of those jobs that, I mean, anybody would want. I was executive director of the United States International Youth Year Commission. And the United Nations had declared 1985 as the Year of the Youth. The United States, as part of the UN, had to assemble a group of young leaders to go and attend all of these international youth meetings. So I was chosen by the Reagan administration to be one of these young people. But I had been active in the Reagan campaign because I was against socialism. I, supported Ronald Reagan because I didn't like it when Jimmy Carter was rationing gas and I had to go and sit in the gas line for 6 hours just to get a little bit of gasoline. And so, I was for free markets. I was for the American dream, the American way of life. And before I go to one of these international youth conferences, Lance, this one happened to be in Jamaica. I was met by a gentleman who was assigned literally by the CIA to be over International Youth Year. And he told me, now you're going to have to support the New World Order. And I said, why would I want to support the New World Order? I love America. I support the Constitution. And he said, well, no, you have to realize we're trying to find a system that all of the world will come together on, and it's only socialism. So if you listen carefully to what he said to me, here I am working for Ronald Reagan in the Ronald Reagan as president was probably one of the most American-centered presidents we've had, except, for maybe Donald Trump. I mean, he loved America, loved the Constitution, and yet they're telling me to support socialism and the New World Order, something I knew Ronald Reagan was totally against. But the reason they were doing it was because the CIA was already pushing this agenda of globalism, trying to bring the, quote, world together in some new global system, which was none of their business. But they're briefing me down at the low level, telling me what I've got to say and what I've got to do to comply with this agenda. And I know that there are other young people at different stages that are getting that same briefing, and probably most of them, Lance, are just going along to get along. So, but you did something rather mischievous in your rebellious youth.
Yeah.
And you didn't cooperate, did you? You didn't work with the...
Well, here at the meeting, we've been talking about holy rebels. I have to admit, I've been kind of a rebel my whole life. So, in fact, when I grew up, you had to be a rebel to be a conservative because everybody was liberal. And I was rebellious. I went to this conference and I did not comply. I ended up leading a 13-nation walkout from the conference. And I remember the newspaper the next morning had a picture of me on the front cover wagging my finger. And the headline screaming across the top of the paper was, "Youth Conference Ends in Chaos." But I would rather have chaos than a new world order, globalism, and socialism. I was there to advocate the ideas of Ronald Reagan, the ideas of freedom, the ideas of America, the ideas of I want to take the American dream to the rest of the world. I don't want them to come here to destroy my American dream.
Which is why when these people, we got some nutty people that are attacking us all the time. We haven't done a job which we have to do. Maybe you and I have to work on this. It's like, remember Charles Krauthammer? He's the first guy that coined the term the Reagan Doctrine. Reagan didn't make the term, but he was the first guy as an intellectual, conservative, and journalist who said, this is the Reagan Doctrine. Let's put it in language. I think we need to have the Revival Doctrine or something like that so that it breaks out to the confused masses in our tribe. Because they say we're dominionists and Christian nationalists. The truth is that New World Order progressive agenda is about expanding the power of government over every area of your life. Conservatism is actually about restricting the power of government so you have maximum personal freedom. Amen. If people understood that the contract, when they say you're a dominionist and a nationalist, they're implying that you want to take over. The truth is their agenda is to regulate everything down to the stove you're using, what hours you could drive a car. It's ludicrous to not know that the left, the Democratic Party, and the complicit Republican Party don't mind the New World Order because they're the ones at the top of the food chain. And then you're working for them.
Yeah, I talk a lot about, in my book, Counterpunch, the wealth extraction machine. And I believe our government has been captured by large corporations that are using the government to extract wealth from the people. And, the one we all know about and have heard about because Eisenhower warned us about it was the military-industrial complex. But after the passage of Obamacare, we now have the healthcare and pharmaceutical complex or industrial complex. We also, because of the passage of laws that protect big tech, we have the big tech and media industrial complex, which is seeking to silence us. So all of these different complexes really are pulling the wealth out of the nation. It's why COVID policy destroyed small business, but it minted over 40 brand new billionaires because the policy suppressed therapeutics, it suppressed inexpensive treatments, but what did it do? It poured all of this American money. Everybody that got vaxxed, they didn't pay for it. The government paid for it. It was basically a huge transfer of your tax dollars to these 40 billionaires. And now the latest one that we have is since the passage of the, quote, Inflation Reduction Act and the Green New Deal of Biden, they're now going to be pouring billions and billions of dollars into the pockets of these green billionaires, for all of these different energy sources, while Americans just want to drive their normal cars.
And they're getting poorer, and they're under attack. The middle class, their goal is to take out the middle class.
They are effectively taking out the middle class. And we now know, because Kamala Harris actually said the thing that nobody's supposed to say, they want our population numbers to go way down. They've said they want to lower the population. The Green New Deal is about making us poor, but also making less of us. And that, to me, is the opposite of what God told us to do. God's directive to us in the book of Genesis was to go forth and multiply and take dominion over the earth and to be stewards of the land.
So part of the Bible thing that I'm working on, Floyd, that I haven't come out with yet, but I'm being driven to it, is the fact that, and you and I have looked at this before, you caught it right away, that the beast system, the beast that's rising, is an assimilating global system that knocks down the sovereignty of nations and kind of props up a ruling elite, which ultimately is the 10 toes of the image that Daniel saw. The Antichrist rises up in the midst of them, subdues 3, and then rules the whole thing. He's like the one ring that rules them all. So we know the trajectory of history. I think what that does is it produces a fatalism and a kind of like a surrender mentality amongst educated Christians who realize that eschatology doesn't sound so promising, so it's getting worse and worse, and they're hoping the rapture will take them out. And think about this. If you really know that there's no future, how zealous are you to go work for it? Yeah. So I think that there needs to be a clarification on this. And here's a brief clarification. When Jesus gathers the nations, there will be sheep nations and goat nations. Goat nations will collapse and go into the beast. Sheep nations will retain enough of their autonomy and sovereignty so as to be maybe the objects of the wrath of that system. Remember, the Antichrist goes to war for 3.5 years. But there's somebody not cooperating. That's why he's at war all the time. It's important that you don't cooperate with cancer or cooperate with a death sentence. Fight it. Because here's what happens. Jesus says when he comes back, the sheep nations will exist. And he will say to them, as much as you've done to the least of these, my brethren, you've done to me. I think the criteria that will separate sheep from goats is the sheep nations will retain enough sovereignty to not comply with the persecution of the people of God. There may only be a few nations like that, but it's held out because it's there at the judgment seat. The goat nations are clearly the ones that are all compromising. What I'm trying to say is, I don't believe America has to go down the way that we're looking at it. I don't think that anything we're talking about is a fait accompli, that it's like it's destined to be. I think when Jesus comes back, he's going to marvel, like he said, will the Son of Man find faith? To be able to have, to turn America around might be the will of God that we have. Let's put it this way. Jesus might marvel that we didn't do it because we had everything going for us. We have the most Christians of any population in the world as a percentage of the population. We are the only instruments of government where we can actually vote and we the people, as you said, they will cheat, but we can outvote the cheat. Donald Trump overwhelmed the system. And we could do that. And we can now, being smarter, we can make it harder to cheat because we know exactly what goes on. We're not naive about this. But I don't like the fatalism that says that there's no hope. I think we need to find a theology that empowers us to occupy till he comes. Floyd, I'm going to have to take a quick break right now because I have to do it every now and then, but we're going to come right back.
You're still looking good.
I'm still feeling good. You know, I've got all your MyPillow products. Mattress topper, bed sheets, MyPillows, towels, slippers, blankets, sleepwear, dog bed.
Whoa, Charles. Everyone now can get MyPillow products at huge discounts at MyPillow.com. That's right. Now's the time to go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code to take advantage of our 3-in-1 sale. We're bringing you exciting new products, overstock specials, and closeout deals you won't find anywhere else. For example, when you buy one of our brand new MyPillow 2.0s, you get another one absolutely free. And with our overstock sale, you save 50% on our luxurious Giza Dream bed sheets. That's as low as $29.99 for the best sheets ever. And with our biggest closeout special, you get our all-season slippers for only $35. Or our sandals and slides for just $25. Quantities are limited, and once they're gone, they're gone.
Go to MyPillow.com and use promo code Lance to save big on all of Mike's best products. That's promo code Lance.
We're right back here with Floyd Brown, and I'm saving now the most controversial and salacious part of my interview for now. Why do I say that? Because I heard him say something at lunch that just perked my ears up, and I said, what? So Floyd said to me, to a group of leaders there, he said, well, I'm not a prophet, but I am involved with politics my whole life, and I could tell you what I think is coming. Now, I lean in when people have those conversations, because I believe God gives insight and foresight to people that have authority in a certain mountain. And the reason why a lot of prophets miss it in government stuff is because God didn't call them to that sphere. If you're Daniel, you're in government. But if you're not, don't prophesy about sports and government and politics when God called you to a region, a nation, or a local church. You're out of your sphere. But these guys, I listen, Rush Limbaugh would be that way. I mean, the guy had a remarkable and uncanny faculty for being able to predict where a news cycle was going and what they were really doing. It was like discerning he got. And I think it's a gift. I think God gives you insight. So Floyd, talk to me about possible scenarios that you see coming in the next. Oh boy, you guys brace yourself for this one. I should make this the first segment, actually, because it's so outrageous. You're going to love it.
So I believe that the left has decided that they want to incarcerate the president, Donald J. Trump. They want to incarcerate him. Now, I've come to that conclusion after watching a number of things, especially this special counsel that they just announced earlier today there's going to be a whole new round of indictments. But I think he's going to go into court and try and argue that Donald Trump should be incarcerated or put on house arrest or an ankle bracelet around him or something, because they want to get him desperately off the campaign trail. He is by far, I just saw some polling from Arizona today, and he is the most popular politician in the state of Arizona by far. And I think that's replicated across the country. They want to take him off the field. The people love him. The people support him. The people think he was elected president last time. It doesn't matter what the elites say. And so they're desperate to get him off the field, and they're hopeful that if they can get an indictment where they actually are able to incarcerate him or contain him, he won't be out doing these rallies. He won't be out, out communicating with people like he does through True Social. They're really doing everything they can to shut him up and shut him down. And I think they're going to go all the way.
And I also would say this. If you look at what they've lied about, because that corrupt CIA is working with the corrupt media. So they're lying. Like when Biden goes out and these guys go, the number one problem in America is what? White nationalist terrorists. They would love to bait the frustrated MAGA people, just like they couldn't find the Jussie Smollett incident. It was like the two MAGA hat guys were actually Nigerians that he hired that were physical trainers. The left is so desperate for a narrative, they will create it, but they don't have to create it. They're thinking they're going to lock Trump up. And then you hear Eric Holder, the pious Eric Holder, who says, well, I really believe that the next president, whoever it is, like Biden or whoever, could pardon Donald Trump as a gesture of conciliation upon the condition that Donald Trump confesses that he had committed a crime. And on that basis, I think there could be compassion. In other words, if you kiss the ring and basically let your neck be exposed to the wolf, then they'll let you go. But they're going to make him do his perp walk. They're going to make him have to apologize. None of that's going to happen with Donald Trump.
No, it's not. And the truth is that everything they've done to him from day one after he was inaugurated has been so phony and so cooked up and so twisted that they have perverted our system of justice in the country. I mean, this two-tiered justice. If you're a conservative, if you're a Trump supporter, we're going to throw the book at you. But if you're a leftist and you support Joe Biden, we're not even, there's no way you can go to jail. And especially if you're Hunter Biden, you're never going to go to jail. And you can do whatever you want.
Imagine that they're going after Trump with 100, charges on handling paper. Hunter and the old man and the uncle have millions of dollars of evidence that they were corruptly doing business and nothing's happening. Yeah, and the nation knows, here's the point, the nation knows it.
Yeah. The reason that they went after the paper was because they knew about Biden's paper, and that was a pre-hit in order to cover up Biden's paper. I mean, that indictment is never going to go anywhere. In fact, I think, the judge that's overseeing it probably won't even let it get to trial. The blood that they smell is with their false narrative about January 6th. They still are trying to claim that the election was held and Donald Trump would not accept the will of the voters and that he attempted a coup d'etat to try and keep Joe Biden from becoming president, what they would say is the legitimate president. I mean, their narrative is completely false, and I think it's demonstrably false because Donald Trump didn't take most of the actions that many of his advisors were telling him to take to try and research the election. Instead, he peacefully, flew off to his golf club. So
this portion is too hot to handle for social media. Go to lancewallnow.com/podcast to listen to the entire show.
Do you think enough Americans know that? I think Joe Rogan, I think the damage is when you get Russell Brand, you get comedians like him, you got Joe Rogan. There's a lot of people that are not card-carrying conservatives that are onto this. And now with Robert Kennedy Jr., right? He's Jr., right?
Yes.
So Robert Kennedy Jr. openly talking about the assassination of his uncle and his father.
So I will just tell you, I had dinner last Saturday night with Robert Kennedy Jr., and I had about a 5-minute exchange with him. And it was a very powerful exchange I think for both of us. I walked up and I grabbed his hand to shake it, but I held it. And I said to him, sir, I just want you to know that I agree with you completely. The CIA killed your uncle and killed your father. And then I said to him this, and I was holding his hand, and I said, that was the first coup d'etat in America when they took down your uncle. And he began to get emotional about it. And we just had this exchange, and I could see in his soul that he's in this campaign because he wants to expose what they did. He wants exposure for the deep state. His uncle was trying to keep America out of Vietnam. And Lyndon Johnson, who took over, was the deep state's deep stater, and we got deep into Vietnam. And as a result, over 55,000 Americans died. It was a total disaster. We lost, and we came home really. We all lived through it. So it was terrible for our nation.
But he was also going to deal with the CIA, wasn't he?
But when I connected with him about that, I could tell he was emotional about it. I mean, he had his father and his uncle taken away from him, and he was young. And now, all these years later, he wants the truth. And I think if they had let those documents out about the assassinations, he might not have run. But his goal is to get elected president so he can expose these deep state operators that killed two of his own father and his uncle.
Well, and I said a moment ago that one of Kennedy's things was after the Bay of Pigs fiasco, he decided the CIA and the War Department of the Department of Defense that kept wanting to have wars, he was fighting the momentum of that industrial complex you're talking about. He wanted to dismantle that sapsucker.
You know what's so interesting? Since Eisenhower gave that speech where he warned us about the military-industrial complex, he gave it actually just weeks before Kennedy took office. Since then, America hasn't won a war. Think about that. We haven't won a war. And the reason is because our leaders now, the focus isn't winning. The focus is staying there for 10 or 20 years to maximize the profits for these people. So how many munitions can we burn? How many tanks can we burn? How many airplanes can we burn? And they're just sitting there counting the dough right out of the taxpayers' pockets. And it's not for the people, and it's especially not for the soldiers, because, I mean, as we all know, that coming back from Iraq has been, even if they survived, many of the soldiers coming back have PTSD, they have horrific war injuries, and they have a really tough road once they get back to America. So we have to get this foreign policy complex that's metastasized back under control.
I believe that right now, the Fire and Glory tours, the populist gatherings of 5,000 live, but 100,000 viewing, what Clay is doing, I don't know if he's going to go down this road or not, but we have got to mobilize you, the patriots, because we, the people, can flip this. This so irritates me when I hear this. I can't believe that God is allowing us to see these things now and not deal with them. It's almost like that which is made manifest by the light, by the truth, is meant to be dealt with. We're here to expose the hidden works of darkness, not cooperate with them. So I need you guys to go to fireandglory.com. I need you to go to is there a give opportunity there for people to support it? We need you to do that. What was that?
It's fireandglorytour.com.
Fireandglorytour.com. And when you go there, you'll see a place where you can contribute. We need I don't have any organization on my own that I'm pushing like this, because it's you, it's Mario, it's Bill Federer, it's the pastors in the cities, it's the swing states we're going to. We are doing this for the patriots. We're gathering together the independent business owners to protect them, the pastors to empower them so they have courage, they're not standing alone. And then the citizens and the mama bears that are rising up now because their children are being targeted by the left. We're watching the populist movement gather with great awakening capacity. I need your support because we want to hit every single swing state. And we're doing this just like by faith. That's the only way we can do it. You don't go to Lance One. Go to fireandglorytour.com and then find out where the donate button is and take action. Floyd, you'll be with us in these various cities, and I'm so glad you're here. It was a very stimulating conversation. We're going to be doing more in the future. Any final thoughts you want to tell the people?
I'm actually optimistic. I believe we're headed to a wave election in 2024. If Christians vote, if they get out of their pews, if they get active, God is going to hold back this beast system for a while longer. And I believe it's because he wants that one last harvest of souls, not only in America, but all over the globe. And only America can protect and make that happen.
I was down in Guatemala, meeting with the president down there, and Mario Bramnick set it up. And when I was there, I did a meeting, and I don't know how this ended up. I am Pentecostal, charismatic, but somehow I don't know if I was slain in the spirit. I think I was on my knees praying at a great gathering at a church, which was Harold Caballeros' church, a great statesman down there. and I had my eyes closed. And a man came up to me out of nowhere and whispered in my ear. He said, Brother Lance, I believe the Lord has a word for you. God wants you to know Donald Trump will be elected for one more term. And after that, there shall be this great distress of nations. The Antichrist and those forces will not be able to emerge before their time. And there's one more term of mercy for America. Whispered it in my ear. By the time I turned around, I didn't even know who it was. But it was an older man. I could tell he was a seasoned Christian. So I'm going to hold that hope out. And on that thought, we'll see you again tomorrow. God bless.
Did you enjoy this latest episode? Please remember to share it with your friends, because the more knowledge you have, the better equipped you are to navigate the world.